Storytime with Andy and Amanda.
Right, Amanda, what are we doing today?
We're doing story time with Andy and Amanda.
And?
And I think you just dragged someone off the street.
Oh, poor guy. We've got another guest for us today, and I'm going to let him introduce himself in a minute. And I would never ever drag some random person off the street. This poor gentleman. Ray, for people who don't know you, mate, seriously, would you like to tell everybody obviously who you are, look a bit about yourself, and then lead us in your piece for today?
Well, I mean, I'll forgive Amanda for saying I've been dragged in off the street. I've got long, scruffy hair, a gnarly beard, and my jumper has got holes in it. And I was recently, I've got a copy of it here because I'm so vain. I've got a copy of a report about me from the local paper, and I was on page 3. And my mother went mad because I was wearing this jumper and it's filled with holes.
Oh,
and I didn't realise. And I was like, I'm impoverished, I'm a poet, I'm an artist, I live in a,
All I'll say to you, mate, all I'll say to you then is obviously we're in page 3. I hope you get your clothes on.
Well, exactly, yeah. My friends did have a bit of a laugh about realising I was on page 3. And I was like, okay.
Right, of course.
Anyway, to get back to the actual thing.
Yeah, sorry. Before we forget, mate, my fault then I should tell people obviously quickly what we're doing today. Sorry before I forget then. My fault, I completely forgot. Now, obviously, Storytime with Andy and Amanda and Ray today is a read round podcast where we invite the guest to read a couple of pieces and we'll chip in with a few as well. So over to you, Ray, for your first piece, mate. Sorry, I completely forgot them.
Okie dokie. Well, I tend to write for children. Although today I thought this kind of idea of reading in bed kind of thing, which is I took as a bit of an inspiration. So I thought we'll think about bedtimes, and things are going to get a bit later and a bit more, towards a watershed moment, I suppose. But we're going to start off with something a bit daft, a bit silly that I did write for children. It's called How Are You? I met a talking parrot. It asked me, how are you? I answered, very well today. Now tell me, how are you? The parrot, it said nothing, preened its feathers with its beak. I moved a little closer so it could hear me speak. And then the talking parrot asked me, how are you? I said, I'm very well, my friend. Now tell me, how are you? Once again, the bird said nothing, just spread its wings out wide. Perhaps it hadn't heard, or perhaps could not decide. But then the talking parrot asked me, how are you? Through gritted teeth, I answered, fine. Now tell me, how are you? That blooming bird said nothing, did not make a single sound. It wasn't asking someone else. There was no one else around. Again, the talking parrot asked me, how are you? I said, I am frustrated, and it's all because of you.
Excellent. Amanda, what have you got? I'll let you talk first about that.
Yeah, I like that.
She likes saying lots of things about pieces as she does. It made me think I actually used to know somebody, Ray, that actually had a parrot, and all they get off the parrot was F off.
Well, it said a few more words as well, but we can't repeat those.
Yeah.
Well, that's based on a parrot. I was once waiting for someone in a hotel in Austria in the lobby, and they had a parrot. Just every time someone walked past, went Morgan, like that. Which is more but you use it for hello in Austrian, in German. So it just, that popped into my head. I couldn't put the Austrian in there.
No, I do like that one, right? It's excellent stuff. I love the use of the repetition in them. I think it works really well on that, mate. It does. Now, I've got to tell you both, I used to know somebody in the police force, and this shows what parrots are like. They had a parrot, and I'm going to drag the conversation tone down, okay? But I had a parrot. They got rescued from, should we say, a certain sort of house.
Oh, okay.
And apparently he used to keep coming out with names of quite prominent politicians all the time. I know that poor bird didn't last very long. Apparently, so he had to retrain it. So, but anyway, right, okay. I'll do my first piece now. Since the last time we spoke to you, Ray, I don't know if you've seen it online. I've had a couple of poems get published in a charity book actually called "Rainbows in a Jar." Now, I did this book's come up with a lady called Sam Rapp, who I know was a dyslexic poet down in Brighton. She's a lovely lady. I met her through Spoken Label last year. And she did this because I think she's been in hospital with her own health problems over the years. And her sister's a nurse. So she wanted to try and raise some funds for the NHS down south. So she asked me to write a couple of poems for it. And this is the first one I've done, which is about my own experiences in hospital. It's a miserable one to start off with. So, but I'll be light and light later. As you get darker, Ray, I'll get more cheerful. So, okay, this is Falling from View. lulling memories. We don't remember, of course, being born 6 weeks early, or the way they left your parents in a constant flux when they wouldn't let you leave for months and months. Or only a few years later, when you were back in hospital for a routine ear operation, leaving the nurses amazed a plane can neck forward in hours, even if you couldn't hear anybody trying to teach you the rules. It was your choice at 14 when you went into hospital to have your eyesight corrected, and the journey your father had on the 256 bus back home, or how long it took for you to take off your sunglasses. Diabetes was the most vivid when you collapsed at work and woke up in Ward 4 or something in Trafford General, and the nurse smiled at you saying, "You feeling any better now?" And you could barely smile back. Each trip an adventure into a different consciousness and a way of life, from being barely born to the crisps of adulthood, concrete in dance, rolling across time and worry. Each trip an adventure, facing an uneasy balance, sliding head first into tons of stress, only for a simple human touch to pull you through, trying to catch you before you fell from view.
Marvelous.
Cheerful, like, right? So
cheerful, but also very, very, I don't know, quite memorable. But I like the visualness of it as well.
Yeah, cheers.
The use of grammar in the use of the grammar in there makes it seem so present. Yeah, you know, you're talking about the past.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I'm at the stage, but I've been recently, Ray. Like, Amanda's had to put up with this. Me stressing the last couple of months too, because I'm about to hit 50 in the end of April. So it's like, when you get to that stage, it makes you, I think, look at things in different ways sometimes.
Yeah,
that's
a long way off for me, but yeah, okay.
I know how old you are. And you'll whip us like Amanda. I've got years to go yet.
Yeah, well, many years.
Yeah, Amanda's only 21. You're only 22, aren't you?
Yeah,
and a half.
I'm 21 and a bit, I think.
Is that for both of you, is it? So, brilliant. Okay, right. What we're going to do today, like I said before, is Amanda's got a short story for us later on. So we're going to get her to come after you for a short story and a poem to follow later. So we'll let you do now, Ray. You're going to do 2 short pieces for us now, aren't you, if my memory's correct?
I am. There's a little bit of a connection between these two. So in my second book, which was Lucy the Two Fairies' Last Chance and Some Pretty Witty Ditties.
I love that title. Tell people again what it is. It's just such a good title.
It's Lucy the Two Fairies' Last Chance and Some Pretty Witty Ditties.
Yeah. I had to be careful how I said that when I read an extract out.
Yeah, now, obviously, people wonder, Amanda did an extract and reading about extracts of this. Was it last year that was it? Or year before, Amanda?
Yeah, I think I had to do 3 takes because the first 3 takes, the first 2 didn't sound right.
Oh, well, thank you for the effort. It sounded great when I listened to it, I must admit. Thank you so much. So in that book, there's a series of poems which are quite thoughtful, and I call them my Fitting In series. And it's about how people are all different, but we're all the same kind of thing. So I'm going to read 2 from that series, and I'll tell you for why. It's because the last lines in each one was inspired by someone we lost, someone quite famous that we lost. The first one is Joe Cox MP. So you probably recognise the last line of this poem. It's called In Common. What do? You see someone new. Sometimes it is hard to begin. First thing you see may happen to be the colour of that person's skin. Look at their eyes. You may realise that they're the same colour as yours. Their mouth, ear and nose, the way their hair grows, all quite familiar, of course. A dimply chin, a nice cheeky grin, a smile with a missing front tooth, kind-hearted face with trust and with grace, and lips that will tell you the truth. Different, that's right. Yeah, but not quite. Don't judge with your eyes, use your heart. And no need to fuss, because you, me and us have more in common than sets us apart. I really do think it was a beautiful thing. I mean, it came out after her death, that statement, and I know something she said, I think, in a maiden speech in the House of Commons, but I do think it's a fantastic sentiment. And anyway, the other person, I've never watched a single episode of Love Island in my life, and I didn't really know much about this person in life, but the way she was treated in the press really saddened me. And again, you'll recognise the last line of this poem. It's called Be Kind. From time to time, do you see online that people have said something cruel? What would you do if said about you? Get angry and feel like a fool? Are you concerned now that you've learned that others can choose to be mean? Bullies don't care when the selfie you share is turned to a horrible meme. Have you instead joined in on a thread where banter has gone way too far, laughing out loud as part of the crowd, despite knowing that comments can scar? You do have a choice when using your voice, so it's time to make up your mind. Please make a note and remember this quote: in a world where you can be anything, be kind.
Agreed completely. Do you know who Ray's talking about there, Amanda?
I remember the woman, but I can't remember her name. Though.
Yeah, it's Caroline Flack, wasn't it? That one. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, I wasn't a fan of her. I was a fan of the body of work she left, certainly, but the way she got treated was despicable. Absolutely awful.
Absolutely.
Agreed with you completely there. So now, unfortunately, now we've just been talking about death. I know what Amanda's short story is about next, don't you, Amanda?
Yeah. Right, this is called No One Knows I'm Gone. They talk about me like I'm still here. Do you think she's coming out of her room today? They ask, laughing. Yeah, the smell, one of them says. That's when I find the energy to throw the bottle of wine on the floor. They all look at each other. Then the guy who doesn't live here but thinks he does goes to fetch the dustpan and brush and some kitchen roll. It's too late to save the carpet though. It's red where it was once white. A bit like the carpet in my room, but the red there is darker and has dried in. There are maggots festering in my open wounds now, but this lot would rather make jokes than check on me. I suppose because the direct debit is set up, there's no need for anyone to pester me for the rent money. But is this all my life was worth? Doesn't anyone want to check on the smell and maybe get my body cremated? Maybe then I can cross over or whatever it is that happens after death. I mean, if I have to spend another minute watching these morons go on about Kardashians and Love Island, I'm going to go full on poltergeist and start possessing them, just so I can throw each and every one out of the 10th floor window. No, I couldn't do that. I don't want to spend my afterlife with them as well. I'd rather go to hell and have pitchforks jammed into my eyes. I have an idea. I take the lipstick from one of their bags and fly it around the room. It's much easier when I'm angry, and I'm so angry all the time these days. It takes them long enough to see it. Then one of them opens up Instagram on her phone and starts a live stream as the others follow the lipstick to my room. Then when they're all watching and comments are flying in from their followers, doubting the authenticity of the video, I write on the door in bright purple lipstick, I am dead. They all scream and run away, but eventually one of them decides to call 999 and the paramedics arrive and find my body. I watched them take my body away and the police interview my housemates. One of them cries, though it takes her 5 attempts to get my name right. On the day of my cremation, they all dress up in clothes that make them look like they're going to a nightclub rather than a memorial service. I watch as they spend the whole time on their phones creating numerous hashtags. I'm so upset. Can't believe her dead body was just lying there all this time, one of them posts. Hashtag dead roommate. Hashtag with the angels now. Hashtag bestie. Hashtag lost my best friend today. Hashtag traumatized for life. I wonder when I'll be able to move on. Even after my body is burnt, I'm stuck here with them. Then they take selfies of themselves looking devastated at the wake back at the house. It's only later when they look back at the selfies they see my angry face hovering over them. Soon after, they move house and I finally get some peace.
You know what? There's so much truth in that. I do think that, you know, the social media spectacle around anything, and the opportunism of some people is, yeah, I think you've captured that really well there.
Yeah,
I love making fun of social media.
The ironic thing with that, Ray, is, and I don't want to go into too much of the story, I was sat next to man when she wrote this one, was the story originally, it started off in some ways, Amanda, didn't it? Quite close to the truth for somebody that you know.
Yeah, then it sort of branched off into something different then.
Oh, okay.
That's why we'll tell you more about that off mic, and I can not repeat. That's
That's
not going to public record. Who's partly based on that.
There was an accidental link between mine and yours as well with the Love Island reference as well. I thought that was the way he just jumped in there. Like,
See, that was literally great minds thinking alike there. Definitely wasn't it,
exactly.
Man? Would you agree with that?
All fools never differing, one of the two.
And I changed the naughty word in there as well so that you don't have to mark it as adult material only now.
All right.
Well, anyway, that might change anyway, this, because I think we were talking about sensitive topics anyway. I've got to tell you, Ray, with this one, you read this all the time last speakeasy night, didn't you, Amanda, on Thursday? And the bit that seemed to go down really well, people, I forget, tell Ray what it was, Amanda, when you heard
the hashtags.
The hashtags. So
I'm just taking Mickey out the hashtags on Instagram.
Yeah, that was one. The last thing I wrote down was hashtag. I just done a hashtag here. I like the full on poltergeist. I like that kind of that threat. Full on poltergeist. I like that.
Right. Okay. It's my turn now. Over to flash fiction from you. And this one came off a workshop me and Amanda did recently, right? And the prompt was, imagine a world without electricity. So this is alternative world. Imagine a world without electricity, Michael said to John, looking at the moonlight as it climbed slowly into the middle of the sky. Are you on drugs again? John opened up a can of lager. You're the storyteller. I can barely string two words together in a cohesive pattern. I know you're not a writer, Michael smiled. I just wanted to see how you would react. He turned off the lights. Easy, John cut in. Go on then. It's dead easy. Paused. Go on then, Michael repeated. I thought of all night. John laughed. You're going to love what I think. Do you have a pen to hand? I can't see what the fuck I'm doing, so how would I be able to write about it? Fair point then. John turned back on the light and went to the fridge for another can of lager.
Fair enough.
It's just one of those what you do is a throwaway ending, and I do like it. So
yeah, I like that.
That's why. So I'm blaming Amanda for that, mate. So definitely with that.
Yeah,
so.
it's not my fault. I came up with the prompt, but I thought it was going to do like a nice, serious piece about what the world would be like without electricity. And he came up with that.
That's the funny thing about prompts, isn't it? They can go anywhere. They really can go anywhere.
Oh God, yeah. I actually love doing writing workshops. To be honest with you, Ray, it's such a great fun because you never know what's going to happen with them. So I know obviously you're a teacher yourself by trade. Have you ever done? How do you feel when you have to start reading people's work back and stuff? You teach English, don't you? If memory's correct.
I mean, I teach English as a foreign language. So I mean, a lot of what my students would compose would be like, business letters and CVs and sometimes you get them. We always sort of distract them away from doing short stories because it's especially in an exam because it's much more objectional. So you get a tutor who's marking it. You're going to think he's going to be the story going to be to their taste. It's like write the report or write the business letter or write the proposal rather than the story. So I don't really teach that much creative writing, which is a shame, really.
I think you should go into that, mate, as a hobby, definitely. So you make me laugh anyway, that's for sure. I'm not sure I'd get much work done. What do you think, Amanda? You'd be the same, probably, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Right, Ray. Okay, on to the next round now. So it's over to you, mate, for your, well, I wouldn't say third round, but fourth piece technically in it. So just to confuse us.
We don't need to split hairs, but okay. This one's I've not put this in a collection yet. I will do eventually, I suppose. Just a clever little play on words all the way through it, really. And when I'm in Wigan, I normally do a trigger warning because I do use the word pie. So you don't want them to get excited.
Amanda, remember that. Amanda does the write-ups on these podcasts when she puts them on the anchor and stuff. So Amanda, you got to put a trigger warning on this pie. Yeah, Sean Fallowes got overexcited the first time he heard this. Oh, but he didn't know him.
Anyway, it's called Names. A dragonfly is not a dragon. A catfish is not a cat. A sausage dog is not for dinner. I can guarantee you that. Some bulldogs aren't so bullish. Some ladybirds are not female. And if you look, I'm sure you'll find a peaceful killer whale. Fireflies are not on fire. A wood pigeon is not wood. Toads can still play leapfrog. In fact, I'm certain they're quite good. Electric eels do not need batteries of any shape or size. And when spreading something on your toast, don't get confused by butterflies. A guinea pig is not a pig. A seahorse is not a horse. A mad pie is not the kind of pie that's served up as a main course. There's a bird called a kingfisher. Has someone warned the kings? Or perhaps they just ran out of words when naming living things.
Excellent. I've got to ask you, Ray, as well, because I should have asked you before with this, obviously. I know you've done 2 books to date, but haven't you got a 3rd book on the way, haven't you? Or am I imagining things?
I put a 3rd book out recently, but for personal reasons, it kind of went under the radar quite a bit. But it's one that I can plug every couple of years because it's on an Olympic theme. So I know the Paralympics going on at the moment, so maybe I'll have another little push. But they're a bit controversial at the moment, aren't they? So maybe it's under the radar until the Summer Olympics over in Paris, when hopefully everything will be lovely and the world will be a bit more normal. But yeah, it is out. It's available on Amazon. But yeah, we'll just keep that between ourselves.
Yeah, top secret. Then okay, definitely right. Okay, that was. You've done that, Amanda. You're doing your cover version now, aren't you? We're into cover version territory now. So
I know.
So I'm going to read a poem from Misha Collins' book, who some people might know from Supernatural. And his book's called Some Things I Still Can't Tell You. And the poem is called Downpour. Time flies, an old friend told me today. But maybe time slips through God's fingers, runs down his arms and legs, and pulls on the floor at his feet. Each moment evaporating, condensing and falling back to us as rain, and the whole time we think things like, poor me, when instead we could turn our bodies outdoors, feel the warm rain on our skin, and watch the skies open for all of us.
Nice. I mean, I thought she said for a moment, Amanda. I know the poem's called Downpour. We said Downpour then for a second. I thought that could have been interesting, different title. Yeah, it's quite sweet, that one. And also, have you watched the rest of the book? Have you? Because I know I got you that fairly recently, didn't I?
Yeah, it's different because it's not like the kind of poems we hear at spoken word night. It's more like thoughts just written down on a page, but there's lots of different things that are classed as poetry. There's not just one thing. But I have seen some reviews saying that's not poetry.
Fair enough.
I think it's subjective, isn't it? I mean, I like the title Downpour, and you're saying it's like a stream of consciousness. And, I think, it's the downpouring of emotion onto the page. And I think it's nice.
Yeah, I do.
Good choice.
I'm just been now as my cover for the month because I've been doing over these last couple of months. To be honest with you, Ray, I've been doing a couple of covers of either Perkert poems or today's Edward Lear, and this is one I think he's most famous for because I know Amanda's younger sister likes this one. She does. So I did one the other month, and I think it was a duck and a kangaroo, and it went on for about 10 minutes. It seemed to take ages. It was one of those ones where the repetition in it drove me crazy by the end of it. But this one is quite a famous one. So it's The Owl and the Pussycat. The owl and the pussycat went to sea in a beautiful pea-green boat. They took some honey and plenty of money, wrapped up in a £5 note. The owl looked up to the stars above and said to a small guitar, "Oh, lovely pussy, oh, pussy, my love, oh, what a beautiful pussy you are. You are, what a beautiful pussy you are." Pussy said to the owl, "You elegant fowl, how charming, sweet are you sing. Let us be married, too long we have tarried, but what shall we do for a ring?" They sailed away for a year and a day to the land where the tree bung grows, and where in a wood a piggy-wig stood with a ring at the end of his nose. His nose with a ring at the end of his nose. "Dear Piggy, are you willing to sell for 1 shilling your ring?" said the piggy. "I will." So he took it away and was married the next day by the turkey that lives on the hill. They danced on mince and slices of quince, which they ate with a resumed spoon, and hand in hand on the edge of the sand, they danced by the light of the moon. The moon, the moon. They danced by the light of the moon.
Well read, very famous and well read.
Yeah, I hadn't read that before. It's just a case of just pacing us out of it. But yeah, I like that. Do you like that one, Amanda?
Yeah.
We'll get Amanda to do her version of it next month, and I'll give her no notice. Right. Okay, right. To conclude anyway today, we're on the last bit now, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. But it's over to you, mate, for the concluding piece for today.
Okay, well, as promised, this is a slightly darker piece because I know that's the kind of thing that Amanda likes. So I teach online at the moment, and I had a guy in Germany who, at the beginning of the lesson, told me that he worked in an abattoir. And then a little later on in the lesson, he told me he met his wife at work. And I was like, wow, how does that work? Like, love is not dead, but, shame about the carcasses. So I ended up thinking about all these kind of things connected to, I didn't do much teaching in that lesson, I must admit. Just ended up thinking about all the different sort of phraseology we use around that kind of thing, really. And I ended up writing this. It's called Slaughterhouse Love. I'm going to take a slug of tea. Just 1 second.
Oh.
Slightly dry in the mouth. Okay, so Slaughterhouse Love. When he first saw her, Kyle was lamb to the slaughter. He felt the pumping of blood and the stirring of water. He'd watched her fine skills in the abattoir, her slashing, her chopping, her whole repertoire. He'd be weak at the knees, be all of a quiver, watching her slicing intestines and liver. As she hung up a carcass, he was hung up on Kate. His lust had no end, there was no sell-by date. She was confident too, she did not mince her words, even covered in offal and the gizzards of birds. Her grace and her beauty had Kyle besotted, especially when he saw that pig get garrotted. He plucked up the courage, his nerves in a jangle, meat sweats in his palms, his guts in a tangle. He asked whether Kate would just for one night risk it for a brisket and hook up for a bite. Kyle supersized it, just proving his point. Went to town, the best end, not some cheap greasy joint. Then had a banger of a night, and no bones about that, with some harmless ribbing whilst chewing the fat. A few days went by, and the heat it got higher. The couple, in fact, were soon cooking on fire. Kate said, I've fallen for you really deep. I give you my heart and the lungs from that sheep. But soon Kyle was distracted to his own surprise. Temptation of the flesh with tender breasts, legs and thighs. A new girl called Maureen piqued his interest. Covered in giblets, in bloody clothes she was dressed. Kyle started flirting. He weighed in by the scales, provocative motion with a pile of entrails. He gave Maureen sweetbreads to sweeten her mood. If Kate had a butcher's, he'd get barbecued. Kyle went too far. He knew not when to stop. Kate had some beef and he was up for the chop. She'd have his guts for garters. She'd skin him alive. It was what she did best each day, 9 to 5. He'd gotten her goat. He'd given her gripe. She was up in his grill, had enough of his tripe. She sharpened her knives. A plan she was eschewing. Giving Maureen the eyes would be Kyle's undoing. Kate crept up on Kyle, smooth, accurate, quick. With a flick of the wrist, she whipped off his dick. The reason for this? Well, to act as a caution, because no one but Kate was to sample Kyle's portion.
Right. Amanda, I'll let you pass some comments on that, please.
Yeah, it's my style.
Or the actions or the poetry?
I'm going to let Amanda. I'm going to say nothing. Be quiet and shy. That was tremendous, Ray. I would dread anyone else trying to follow that piece on, mate. So thank you for especially. Did you write that special for today? That did you?
No, I wrote it it's about 6-7 months ago. I've only ever performed it once, so I was a bit stumbly on it. I do apologise.
Oh, mate. We're only a little read round between friends, and I love that. So it's tremendous, mate. So right, hang around, Ray. Anyway, so when you do need to chat to you off microphone, but thank you today to Amanda for being my co-host as always. And thank you, Ray, for our special guest today. A story time. Well, Andy and Amanda will be back next month at some point. Who knows if we have a special guest because we haven't discussed that yet. So, but see you all soon, guys. Take care. Say bye, Amanda.
Bye.
Storytime with Andy and Amanda.